Okay, let's do a little bit of review of the homework from chapter 18. So if you have any questions on the section A homework for Ross textbook chapter 18, let's throw those out. Just as a reminder, what Ross is asking you to do here in section A is to take these English verbs to translate them into Hebrew using two possible forms to do it. The first one being using the perfect conjugation, and the second one using the preterite plus vav consecutive, or the vayiktal, or the WCI form. So those are the two ways to do this. Both of these can have past tense translation values. And that's what we have here is this set of translations that are English expressions that are past tense. I think in my homework assignment, I only asked you to do up to 6. So the first 6 of each. But of course, if you did all 10, you are blessed beyond measure. So the question is, why is there a Dagesh forte right here? And the answer is, there's not a Dagesh forte right there. What kind of Dagesh do we have here? That is a Dagesh Lene, right. Now, how do I know for sure that's a Dagesh Lene? Yeah, my Shava here is a silent Shava, which means there's no vocal sound, no vocal Shava and no vowel right before this Beit. And the Beit being a Begad Kafat letter needs a Dagesh Lene. So yeah, if you were puzzled as to why there's a Dagesh Forte there, the puzzle should be solved. There's not a Dagesh Forte there. Isn't that great? All right, good deal. Good deal. Excellent. Any other questions on Section A?
Can I just see you walk through it?
Number 2?
How you would start it off?
Yes. Let me go back to the actual Ross page. So for number 2, what we're told to do is produce the forms for she sold. So the first thing I have to know is what's the verb for to sell. And it's the root letters mem, kaf, resh, makar. Makar. Remember, I'm going to sell makar, right? And so I have to take those 3 root letters and form the perfect. Now, if it's she, which person, gender, or number am I looking for? Which person is that? First, second, or third person? Yeah, it's third feminine singular, right? She is a third feminine singular. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the perfect first of all. I'll start from right to left here. And the cow perfect basic form is mahar with these vowel points. Kametz, pathak. But for the 3 FS personal endings for the cow perfect, I need to add a kametz hey. And when I do, that's going to leave this open and pre-tonic. And Hebrew verbs will always reduce syllables that become open and pre-tonic to a vocal shiva. So that's what I'm going to do here. Makar has to become makara. And then because I've got this ambiguous symbol right here, this kametz before shiva, I want a metheg here to signal that that shiva is in fact a vocal one. So machara. Mahar, he sold, becomes machara, she sold. Okay? So that's the first form. That's the cow perfect 3FS. Now, I can also form a past time verb using a vayiktal or a WCI form. And that means what I have to do is I have to create the prefix conjugation form of the 3FS and then add my special vav to the front of it. So again, I'm going to use makar, okay? The 3MS would be yim kor, okay? Yim kor. There'd be because kaf is a begat kafat letter, there's going to be a dagesh lene in that kaf. Yim kor, okay? But I want to say she sold, so what do I have to switch out here? The yod has to become a what? Right, the yod has to become a tav. Okay. Does the 3FS have any suffixes besides the prefix tav? No, there's no suffix. So it would be timkor that would be the imperfect. She will sell, but I need to make this a WCI form. So what do I have to add to the front here? I need a vav. And what goes under the vav? A pathak. And now what goes inside the tav? Yeah, this is a dagesh forte. Now before I added this, it's a dagesh lene because the tav is a big akifat letter, and at the beginning of a word it comes standard with the dagesh lene. But now that I've added the special vav of the vayiktol, then I gotta make sure that whatever that dot means, it's a dagesh forte. Okay? So it's vatimkor. Vatimkor is also in she sold. She sold. So machara and vatimkor both can be translated the same way. She sold. Okay, so I'm asked to do number 4. I buried. And what are the root letters for the verb to bury? Kov. Yep. Beit. Resh, right? So kavar. Good. Now, I want to start with the cow perfect. So let's so I want to start with kavar, which is the cow perfect 3ms. The vowel pointing is that kavar. Okay? I like to start with the simple or the basic form, and then I add my suffixes and then make any modifications that need to be made. So kavar, what am I going to add here to make the cow perfect? What person gender number is I? First, common, singular, right? 1 CS. So I want the cow perfect 1 CS. Do I use prefixes in the cow perfect? No. The perfect is the suffix conjugation. So I'm just going to add a suffix. Which one is it? T. Good. So I'm going to add T to kavar. Now what do I put under the resh? It's a shiva. Is it vocal or silent? It's silent. Good. So it's kavar-ti. Now here's the question. Where's the accent go on this? Is it kavarti, kavarti, or kavarti? Where do I always want to stress my verb? Normally I want it to go on root 2. Okay? I want it on root 2 unless I have a vocalic ending that pulls it to the end, or I have a heavy consonantal ending that pulls it to the end. Otherwise, I want it on root 2. So it's kavarti, kavarti. So to go back to our paradigm. So here's our perfect paradigm. Pakad, pakada, vocalic ending pulls it to the end, so no longer root 2. And then pakadta, pakad, pakadti. You see there, we're stressing root 2 all the way through unless we have a vocalic ending like come and say. Plural side, vocalic ending, sure, pakadu. And then I have heavy consonantal endings here, so it's pukadtem, pukadten, not stressing root 2 here, but now I'm back to pakadnu, stressing root 2 with my accent there. Okay, so back here we have kavarti. So that's I buried. I, T ending, buried. So I've got my pointing here. Now I also can do this as a WCI or vayiktol with the 1 CS. So again, I could start with the imperfect, which would be this, the imperfect 3ms, which is yik bor. Okay? Now, I need to change this to not he will bury, but I. So I changed the yod for a what?
Olive.
Okay, got to put an olive here. Can I keep the Keurig under the olive? Or does olive have a vowel preference?
Vowel preference, segol.
That's right. Olive prefers that segol. Segol is still an I-class vowel. Yeah? So I've got ekbor here. Now, that's the imperfect, but I need a WCI form or a vayiktol form here. So what am I going to have to do to change this to a vayiktal? Got to add the vav. And the vav goes on the front. Under normal circumstances, vav, pathak, doubling dot. Can I put a doubling dot in the aleph? No. It will reject the dagesh forte. And what will happen to the pathak, the short a vowel here? It will compensatorily lengthen. So it gets va, ek, bor. Va, ek, bor is and I buried. Okay? Let's take a look at the B section. Oh, you want to do number 6 here on A? Yeah, let's do that. Is this a subliminal message? Are you wanting me to stop? And they rested. Okay. And they ceased. Okay. So what's the verb for resting or ceasing? Shavat. Shin, beit, tav. Okay? So again, we start with the perfect form. Which person gender number is they in the perfect conjugation? So for the perfect, it's third common plural. Remember, we only have one form for they, whether it's masculine or feminine in the perfect. But when we do the prefix forms, the imperfects and the WCIs, I will actually have a different masculine form than the feminine form. So that's what we're looking at here. We're going to do 3CP for the perfect and 3MP for the WCI. Okay, so let's start with the perfect. So we have Shavat is the cow perfect 3MS. We need to make it they though. So how am I going to modify Shavat? What do I need to add here at the end for they? 3CP. I'm going to add a shurik. Very good. Can I leave the pathak here under the bet when I add that vocalic ending? That's right. It will reduce to a vocal shava. Vocal shava. Yeah, it'll be vocal. And so that means I'm going to put a metheg here to tell me that it's vocal and that this is a long A. Shavatu. 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 They rested. Okay? So that's the cow perfect 3CP. Now what about the cow WCI 3MP? Well, let's start with the first basic form in the paradigm. I'm going to have Shavat with the prefix, Yish, Boat. Now, do I need a Dagesh Lene in this bet right here if I have a silent Shava under the Shin? Yeah, I want a Dagesh Lene. Okay? So Yish, no vowel, no vocal Shua, Yish, Boat. Begad Kafat letters come standard with Dagesh Lene unless a vowel precedes and blows it away. So that's the imperfect 3MS. To make it 3MP, which is what I want to do here, I need to add what to the end? I'm going to add a shurik as well, right? Will the holum stay here when I add this vocalic ending? Yishbotu. No, it cannot stay here because it has become open and pretonic now, right? Open pretonic syllables and verbs reduced to vocal shava. So now I have a silent shava followed by vocal shava, which is all good and well because we can do that in Hebrew. So yishbatu is they will rest, but we're wanting to make this past time using the prefix conjugation. So we need to add the special vav now, don't we? So what am I going to do? Put a vav here. What will go under the vav? Pathak. And then, do I need to put anything in the yod here? Yep, I need a dagesh forte.
Yeah, forte.
Dagesh forte in the yod. So it's vayishbatu. Vayishbatu. So the yishbatu part tells me it's they doing it. The vai is telling me that it's past time. They rested. They rested. Because WCIs are always past. Right? WCI is always past tense. Okay, so Shabatu and Vayishbatu. They rested. If you had a guilty conscience about leaving the two Shavas side by side here, let not your heart be troubled. Okay? Because two Shavas can occur side by side in the middle of the word. That is absolutely okay. And remember, if we ever have two Shavas in the middle of a word, like this, the first one is always what? Silent. Second one is always vocal. And if I were dividing syllables, I'm always going to divide my syllables right in between. Okay, sorry. That should have gone right through the line. Okay? Because silent Shavas are closing syllable, vocal Shavas are opening. So that's okay. The problem is when you have two Shavas at the beginning of the word. If the two Shavas are at the beginning of the word, you got a problem. Okay? You can't do that. But that's not our situation here, so we are happy.
Could you also do 8?
Which one?
Number 8.
Number 8. Okay, yes. So this is for the overachiever here. All right, number 8. I didn't require this, but you are free to do these. So number 8. The first thing we need to do is know which verb root we're looking at when we have the verb to burn. So which verb is this? Yeah, saraf. Okay, so sin, resh, pay. Now, if the you is the subject and it's a feminine singular you, which person gender number is that? Yes, 2FS. 2FS. So what I need to do is create a form in the perfect first that has the 2FS. So let's do that. So the cow perfect 3FS is saraf. Okay? Saraf. It looks like that. Saraf. We want to add the 2FS perfect ending. What is that going to be? It's a tav. What's going to go under it? Not a segol. Not a Garrick. We're dealing with the perfect here, okay? So it's perfect 2FS. If we need to, let's look at our sheet. So there's my 2FS personal ending. It's the tav with a silent shava. And I'm going to expect a silent shava under root 3 too. You see? So let's go back. Okay, so I'm going to put a tav with a silent shava here. And then the pay needs a silent shava. But this was a final pay, but now that I've added an ending, it's no longer final. So it has to become non-final pay, right? So we got to switch that back to the non-final pay. And then I need a silent shava there. So that's the form. Saraf. Saraft. Okay? Do I need to put an accent mark right there? Saraft? No, because that is the final syllable as it stands. So I don't need an accent mark there. So saraft is my form. Okay. Now, that's you woman burned. Now, we can also use a Vayiktal or a WCI 2FS form to say the same thing. So let's take saraf. The imperfect 3MS would be yis, rof, right? Keurig under root, the prefix consonant, silent schwa under root 1, holum with root 2. Now to make it 2FS, what are my prefixes and suffixes going to have to be? Prefix will change to what? It's got to become tav. Very good. So I'm going to leave the Keurig there, but I got to put a tav there. Is there zero ending or a suffix on the 2FS imperfect? There is a suffix, isn't there? Which means my pay will not be a final pay. It's going to be a non-final pay. So let's go ahead and change that. And now we're going to add what what suffix goes with that prefix ta for you woman? It's a Keurig yod. Excellent. And if I add a vocalic ending that steals the pay away, then the reshes holum is now open and pretonic. Hebrew is going to reduce that to a vocal shiva, right? Open pretonic syllables and verbs reduced to a vocal shiva. So it becomes tis-ra-fi. Tis-ra-fi. See those two shavas in the middle of the word? Let not your heart be troubled. That is a good combination in the middle of a word. Tis-ra-fi. So that's you will burn. It's the cal imperfect to FS, but we want a cal WCI to FS to say you burned, woman. That means you burned something, not you went to hell. So what do? I add a vav with what under it? A pathak. And then this tav had a dagesh lene, but with the special vav, it's now got a dot called a dagesh forte. So it's va tis rafi. Va tis rafi. So you burned, like you burned the toast. You burned the log, and so forth. Va tis rafi. Okay? Let's look at the B section. So here, what we're being asked to do is to translate these English verbs into Hebrew, but these are all futuristic verbs, and so what we can do is use the imperfect conjugation for those, or we can use WCP forms, okay? Bob consecutive perfect. Number 5.
I have an issue with number 5.
Okay. Well, I don't know why you've got an issue with that, because you reigning is natural to your human condition. I shall reign. Okay. So, no, really. Do you want me to work through it with you, or do you want to tell me what you did?
I mean, could I just see the answer again? Because
Yep.
that's where I'm having an issue. I saw your answer, and I saw mine, I saw your answer, and I spent 20 minutes, I said, you know what, forget it. The answer's wrong.
Okay. So here it is, number 5.
Sure. 5. Hold on. Okay. Okay, I was looking at the wrong thing. I got it right. Never mind. I'm good.
All right. Well, that makes me happy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was checking my answers wrong.
All right. Very good. Now,
20 minutes.
let me just put this down. I will reign, and just to review it, the first thing you can do to create a future form in Hebrew is to use an imperfect, right? And so that's what I did here. I took malach, I added the prefix aleph. Usually, Keurig goes under the prefix in the imperfect, but aleph prefers a segol. And holum is my theme vowel, my root 2 vowel in the cal imperfect, so it's emloch, emloch. I will reign. I will reign, or I will be king. Notice final coughs have a silent shava that get tucked in there nice and deep. Okay? So you will see that. So emloch. Then I can also say I will reign by using a vukatal or a WCP form. And here I have to use the perfect conjugation pattern, the suffix conjugation. One I is one CS, so I'm going to use T on the end. So malachti, but then I have to make sure I put a vav in front of it. Malachti. Why did I not say malachti here? Well, because mem is what kind of consonant? It's a bump consonant. It's one of the bilabial consonants, the ones that you use both of the lips to form. And vav becomes shurik before the bump consonant. So it's malachti. If you put the accent on the T ending to ensure that was viewed as a WCP form, that's futuristic, then that's okay. And you might see that. You don't always see it. It doesn't have to go there, but it does go there sometimes in the Hebrew Bible. So the accent mark could go either place. All right. Other questions on Ross on section B here? So we're basically doing the opposite of what we were just doing on the A section. So number 2 is on the table. She will sell. She will sell. So I'm going to start with an imperfect, which means I have to first of all find out what the verb is for selling, and well, the only thing I could sell is makar, right? So makar. I could begin with the 3MS just to start with the basic paradigm, yimkor, he will sell, and then just make sure I switch out the prefix, which will be what? If it's she, it's 3FS. What do I have to switch the yod for? A tav. Okay, so that tav gets a dageshlene in it because there's no vowel sound before it. So timkor, she will sell. Do I need any suffixes for the imperfect 3FS? Nope, there are no. Remember, on the singular side of the imperfect conjugation, it's 0 ending everywhere except for 2FS. Okay, so 3MS, 3FS, 2MS, 1CS, those are all no ending. So it's just prefixes I get. So I don't need to do anything else. I'm done. Timkor, she will sell. Okay? By the way, timkor could also be translated how? With a prefix tav and no ending? It's not only 3FS, that could also be what? That could also be 2MS. So it could also be you man will sell. So you do have to remember that. That form is ambiguous, but we're being told it's she, so we know that prefix tav is for 3FS. Okay? Now, I want to create the future form using the WCP and not the imperfect. Now, how will I do that? Well, I first have to come up with the perfect conjugation form of selling. So makar is normally this, but if it's she, I need to add kamate to it. And what will happen to my vowel under the root 2 when kamate steals root 3 away? It becomes open and pretonic and reduces to a vocal shiva, and so I put a metheg with the kamets to preserve that long A and to tell me that's a vocal shiva. So machara. That's just the perfect. Now I'm going to make it a WCP, so I'm going to add what in front of the mem? A vav. And can I put v makara? No, because mem is it's a bump consonant. So the v has to switch to shurik. Yes, that's right. So it's umachara. She will sell. Umachara. There you go. And those are your forms. Okay, so let's look at the D section here. Translate into English and parse the verb form. So we're going to be parsing as well as translating. Parsing verbs. So, questions on these. What do you want to go through here? Someone asked for number 2. Let's do number 2. Okay? So, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to read this out loud, and you just sort of read it under your breath here if you want, and just to see if you can vocalize this the same way I do. Ready? Yishpatu ha-zakenim oto v'lakahu otho chutz ha'ir v'haragu otho sham. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and use my line here. I'm going to divide the clauses up here. I actually have 3 actions here. 3 actions in sequence. Notice the first one is yishpatu with a prefix yod and no vav in front of it. So which conjugation pattern is this? This is the imperfect. Okay? Following it, I have a vav with no prefix, just roots 1, 2, and 3, and a shurik at the end. So that looks like a perfect verb, doesn't it? There's no nutty prefix here. But I've got a vav with it, and it's following an imperfect. So most likely I'm dealing with a WCP. Okay? And then this last verb is the same thing. I've got a shurik at the end. I have harag, which are my 3 root letters, and a vav in front of it, and no nutty prefix. So that looks like a perfect, but a vav in front, following on the heels of a WCP, following on the heels of an imperfect, probably another WCP. Which means this. If the imperfect is future in its time frame, how will I translate the 2 WCPs? I want to translate them as future as well. So all I have to do is discover which person gender number the personal ending is on these, and I'll know how to translate them. It turns out that the person gender number of Yisrafu is 3MP, right? It's the imperfect 3MP. Here, this looks like the perfect conjugation with the 3CP. That's what the shurik is. And shurik over here is 3CP. So probably the same subject throughout. But remember, in the suffix conjugation for the third person plural, we use a common form. We do not distinguish masculine from feminine. But for the imperfect we do, and that's why there is this slight difference between the imperfects 3MP versus the WCP, the vav consecutive perfects 3CP for both of these. Okay? All right, so let's translate now. What does shafat mean? What's the meaning of that verb root, shafat? To judge. Good. So, with the 3MP inflectional form here of the imperfect, it's they will judge, right? They will judge. Now, the subject is either they or it's a plural noun that is explicitly written. Do I have an explicitly plural noun here? That could be my subject. Yeah, the elders. So I'm going to make that my subject. The elders will judge. And whom will the elders judge? Well, my direct object is marked here with the otho here. So what's the object? Him. Yeah. This is the 3ms pronominal suffix with the attached to the direct object marker or sign of the accusative. So the elders will judge him. Future. The elders will judge him. And what else will they do next? V'lakachu. Here's one of our new verbs. What does lakach mean? To capture. So who's doing this? The elders. So it's they. And what time frame is it? Yeah, if it's a WCP following a futuristic imperfect, it's going to have the same nuance. And they will capture otho. I'm sorry, not capture. They will take. They will take who? Otho? Him. It's the same pronoun as what we had, right? And they will take him. Hutz ha'ir. What did hutz mean? Outside. So they will take him outside the city, and then they will do one more thing. V'haragu. What does harag mean? Yeah, they will kill or slay. Now again, it's 3CP they. WCP is futuristic here. And they will slay him. Sham. There. They will slay him there. Good. So you see how we had 3 verbal forms. We started with an imperfect, carried on the future sequence with WCPs. Okay? So that's how we want to read those. What's that?
Little mark under the direct object. What does the little mark underneath the direct object tell us?
Right here, this first one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is just an accent mark called athnak, which, if you remember, Ross began introducing us to the Masoretic accent marks. The Saluk over here is also an accent mark, and Saluk goes at the end of the line or verse. The Athnak is going to be in the middle, and it usually, although not always, it usually divides a verse in half, and it's going to happen somewhere in the middle or midway point. Okay, so it's a disjunctive accent, which means that the word that it goes with is to be read with what precedes it, and there's a pause on it, and then the next word goes with what follows. Okay?
So sort of the English trail. What's the difference between kill and slay?
Yeah. Good question. So killing is just killing, but harag can be used for also generic killing. It can also be used for slaughtering something. So you wouldn't really think, I suppose, of killing like katal with an animal, but with harag you could. But yeah, I mean, they are synonyms for the most part. Okay, other questions? Okay, so let's do number 4. And again, I'll read this out loud, and you can vocalize it here to yourself. V'haya bayom hahu udurashtem othi v'lo emloch alechem. Okay, now let me just highlight the verbal forms here. And where I'm highlighting the verbal forms, I want you to notice that I have the beginning of clauses, okay? So there's 3 clauses here. Now, the first one is a v'haya, then I have udurashtem, and then I have v'lo emlo, where I've got a break in the action here. There's a break in the sequence, because what we're being told is what will not happen. Okay, v'lo emlo. This is going to be important because we want to focus on the verbal forms. Look at v'haya. Is that a WCI or a WCP form? What do we have here? Is there a pathak under this vav? Is there a prefix? Yeah, this is not a WCI because it doesn't have the kind of vav we're looking for. This is a WCP of haya. So this is that discourse marker use of haya that signals the time frame, okay? Now over here I have udurashtem. Is tem part of the prefix conjugation or the suffix conjugation pattern? Does that look like a perfect or an imperfect kind of verb form, seeing the tem at the end? Yeah, that's the perfect. Okay, but I've got a vav in front of it, and it's coming after WCP. So what's my likely form here? Dealing with the WCP form. Okay, and then I have v'lo emloch. Here, I have my 3 root letters and a prefix aleph in front. So that's clearly what? That's an imperfect. That's right. It's not a WCI because there's no vav in front of it, right? I only have, if it's a WCI, it's got to have a vav immediately in front of the prefix, the nutty prefix consonant. So this is just the plain old standard imperfect form. Okay? So what does this tell us? I'm starting my sequence here with the WCP, which most frequently is going to be future. It's continuing with the WCP, which is future. And then it's continued by a lo with an imperfect, which is, imperfects are also frequently future. So I'm going to translate this whole series of verbs, or at least think of them in terms of future time frame, okay? But as you remember, when we start with vayhi and v'haya, followed by a prepositional phrase, and then another WCI or WCP after it, we don't really want to translate the v'haya here. We want to just remind ourselves this means future, and then our translation will begin with the prepositional phrase, bayom hahu. So how would I translate that? Bayom hahu? On that day, or in that day, okay? It's literally in the day that. Remember, we have a hey that's been swallowed up by the preposition bet here. How do I know? Because I've got a dagesh forte in the yod, and I've got a pathak under the bet. Preposition bet normally comes with what under it? Yeah, normal pointing for an inseparable preposition bet is vocal shiva. So I'm missing a hey. The hey has been swallowed, the article hey, but its pathak and doubling dot are still hanging out of the mouth of the bet. Okay? So it's really hayom, hahu, with the bet swallowing the hey of hayom. So the day, that is in or on that day, future time frame, in or on that day, what will happen? U darashtem. Now remember, when we do this, we're not going to translate the vav. We're just going to translate darashtem as future. Now, what is the person, gender, and number of the ending tem? It's 2M, yes, 2MP. So this is a WCP, Cal WCP 2MP. So y'all, and we got to make it future, will darash. What does that mean? Y'all will seek. Y'all will seek othi. Who is that? Y'all will seek me. This is the 1CS pronoun suffix attached to the sign of the accusative or direct object marker, right? So on that day, y'all will seek me, velo, but not emloch. What does malach mean? To be king or to reign, okay? The prefix aleph is the imperfect what? 1 CS, okay? So it's emloch is I will reign, but velo emloch is I will not reign, okay? So y'all will seek me, but I will not reign. Aleichem. There's all plus a pronoun here. Which pronoun is kem? It's 2MP, right? So I will not reign. What's all? It's over or above. Yeah. So I will not reign over you, plural. Okay? And the reason we're using plural here is because we had a plural verb, right? Y'all will seek me, and I will not reign over y'all. Okay? All right.
I got a little mixed up there at the end because where you put the 2 and P, I didn't see that can on a perfect or imperfect. It was similar, but I just kind of. But that's something else, right? That's not a suffix of a perfect.
No, it's not. And that this is a good point, okay? What you have to remember is this. So the perfect conjugation, its personal endings tend to have tavs at the end, right? Okay? When you get to the pronominal suffixes, in the second person, the pronominal suffixes, not the perfect personal endings, which are on verbs, but on nouns and prepositions. The second person pronominal suffixes have a cough, where the perfect personal endings have a tav. Okay.
I remember it now.
Yep.
I was on the chart that had it.
Yeah, that's it. So in the perfect, it would be tem and ten. For the pronouns, it would be kem and ken with the cough instead of a tav. Okay.
We're just using everything we learned last semester.
That's right. That's right. And that's why, in a real sense, every quiz and every test is cumulative, because there's no way to test you on new grammar that doesn't presuppose old grammar that you've already learned, right? So if you ever just get woefully behind at the beginning of a language course and you're in like week 5 and you still don't know a thing, you probably want to drop it. Okay? Now, you're all not in that position, so congratulations. All right.
Dr. Marshall, I got hung up on the vowel change on the direct object marker. Could you just briefly review that?
Yeah. So we've had a couple that have done this, right? Othi, where was it? Otho over here. Okay. So what we're looking at is this. The direct object marker is normally pointed eighth with a serre and et with a segol if there's a makef. Okay? That's the direct object marker. When there's no pronominal suffixes attached to it. If I add a pronominal suffix, then the vowel pointing is going to change to oath. Okay? And then I'm going to add my pronoun to the tav. Or it's going to become et if I have kem and ken. Okay? So those are the two ways I'm going to see it. Now the et kem is identifiable. You already can tell that that's the direct object marker with the 2MP pronominal suffix. This is where it varied quite a bit, is seeing that holum there. And there's no trick. This is just something you've got to learn. I'm going to see the holum with all my other forms. So otho, him, otha, her, otaha, you, as direct objects. I'm going to see that O there. Okay? So that's sign of accusative. Now what we have to keep that distinct from is the preposition with. Okay? The preposition with is going to look exactly like the sign of the accusative when there's no pronominal suffixes attached. So that is ambiguous. But if I add the pronominal suffixes, it will become it with an I-class vowel here and a dogish forte here. And then I will add my pronominal suffixes to the top. So I will always have the dogish forte in the tav when it's the preposition with. Okay? Sign of the accusative, when I add pronominal suffixes, there's never a dogish forte in the tav. So that's how you can tell the difference between the two. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay, so I was asked for number 8, so we'll do that. Let me just make one comment here about all these sentences, okay? In this chapter, the whole point of the chapter is how Hebrew strings clusters of sentences along in a chain of events. And because of that, all of these exercises in the translation part are going to consist of multiple clauses. Okay, so these are a little bit longer because there's really no way to practice this concept of how you string clauses together unless you get multiple clauses together. Okay, so I apologize for that in the sense that these sentences are longer, but that's just the way it goes. You have to be able to see the flow of the clauses in a sequence like this. Okay, so number 8, I'll read this out loud. kavatz et avdei Adonai vayishpetu et hakohen harasha. All right. I actually have just two clauses here. I have kavatz starting the first one. That's my first verb, kavatz. And then vayishpetu starts my second clause. Is kavatz perfect, imperfect, WCI, or WCP? What's that? It's a perfect. Good. So this is a cal perfect. This cal perfect has no ending, so it's 3ms, right? Cal perfect 3ms of kavatz. So who kavatzed? The subject is he, right? What does kavatz mean? To gather. So he gathered, and then I have ate, which could be direct object marker or the preposition with. But when you think of the meaning of the verb gather, does that verb require a direct object most situations? In other words, this is a transitive verb. I should expect a direct object. So this is probably the sign of the accusative then. So he gathered avdei Adonai. What is avdei Adonai? Yeah, this is the servants of Adonai. Yeah, the servants of Adonai. Notice that I'm putting an S on here because this is the Canadian ending, and the Canadian ending is masculine plural construct, right? And so I'm saying the servants of Adonai because when I have a construct chain, I can never put the article on thing 1. So how do I know whether it's definite or not? I have to look at thing 2. And if it's an articular noun, or if it's a proper noun, or it's a suffixed noun, then it's going to be definite, and then I have to translate the first part of the construct chain as definite. So he gathered the servants of Adonai. All right? And then I have vayishpetu. Is this a perfect, imperfect, WCI, or WCP form here? That is a WCI. How do you know? Well, we have our 3 root letters. We have our yod for the prefix, and then my vav has the special pathak and doubling dot, right? So clearly a WCI. So what time frame is WCI? It's always past. And that makes sense. I started with a perfect kavatz. That's also past, right? So he gathered the Lord's servants, and he did something past time. Excuse me, it's not he, but they, right? I have a yod followed by a shurik after root 3. So which person, gender, and number is that? 3MP. So this is a Cal WCI 3MP of Shaphat. So he gathered and they judged. Yep, and they judged. Whom did they judge? They judged et ha-kohen. They judged the... What's a kohen? They judged the priest. So this is my direct object marker because judging implies an object. So they judged the priest. But look, I have not just ha-kohen, but it's followed by ha-rasha. Ha-ha. What kind of an adjective is rasha here in ha-kohen, ha-rasha? It's attributive. That's right. It's telling me what kind of kohen they judged, right? So they judged the wicked kohen. They judged the wicked priest. And the they here is obviously the Avdei Adonai. Okay. All right. So does that help? Number 8 there?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Very good. Very good. All right. Number 7. Let's take a look here. I'll highlight the verbs here. Okay. So let me read this here real quickly. I'll put my cursor underneath. So, tirkavu el hamilchama ulukatem et haoyevim usuraftem et hamachane. All right. So, let's just take a quick peek at the verb forms here. So I've got 3 clauses that all begin with verbs. The first verb is tirkavu. There's my 3 root letters, rachav, to ride. Prefix tav, shirk at the end. This is what conjugation pattern? It is clearly the imperfect. It's got a nutty prefix, doesn't it? No vav in front of it. So that's the plain old imperfect. When I have a tav in front and shirk in back, which person gender number is this? 2MP. So this is the cal imperfect 2MP. So how am I going to translate this? So you all will ride. Good. Y'all will ride. You will ride. You plural. You will ride el hamilchama. Where will you ride to? To the battle. So you will ride to the battle. And now I have my second verb in sequence following an imperfect. This has tem on the end, which looks like the perfect conjugation, doesn't it? That's also 2MP. But it only has the 3 root letters with a vav in front. Okay? So this is a good candidate for being what? A WCP, right? A vav consecutive perfect. Not a WCI. That would have a nutty prefix. Okay? So, how am I going to translate this? If this imperfect is future, you will ride, then the WCP will also be future. And you will lakad. And you will what? Lakad is to capture. To capture. So you will ride to the camp, or excuse me, you will ride to the battle, and you will capture et ha'oyevim. You will capture whom? Who remembers what oyevs are? Enemies, that's right. So this is the plural of oyev. So you will capture the enemies. And then I have u suraf tem. Again, another tem ending, which is perfect, but with a vav in front of the perfect verb. Probably a WCP, right? And you will suraf. You will what? You will burn et hamachane, the camp. And you will burn the camp. So, there you go. An imperfect in the future, followed by 2 sequential WCPs that are future in their time frame. You will ride, and you will capture, and you will burn.